sometimes the investment is more than money. It's actually investing in people, right? And their capabilities. And then, you know, to your point, is hearing that from someone else. Like, I've always known I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
But then when Tracy calls me and trusts me with his vision, right? And this is, like he said, this is the first thing that he's ever done on it, like by himself. Like this is his first his own business.
Yeah.
So for him to call me and trust me to build that out for him, you know, that just gives me that like you said, confirmation that, like, okay, like.
Still got reservations.
He got your t-shirt on though. He got your face on his chest.
Come on, man.
So the fact that he's got your shirt on.
Yeah, man.
Where's the love? Hey, what's going on? Welcome to LeagueBiz, where we talk about the business of basketball beyond the four corners of the Hardwood. I'm your host, Lisle Bowen. And look, if you want to exist in this ecosystem, then you are in the right place. Today, we have some amazing playmakers, that being Alexys Feaster, Lisle Bowen, and Tracy McGrady. How y'all doing today?
Hot.
Fantastic.
There we go.
Right.
It's definitely hot. It's definitely hot.
We were just talking about the Vegas weather, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you step outside and your brain is just melting.
Yeah.
But today we're here to talk about the business side of things, of course. Everybody doesn't get to wear a jersey, but that doesn't mean that they can't have a future in the game of basketball, right? That doesn't mean that their love for the game can't, produce something for them. Let's get to it, right? Just like business.
Straight to business. Straight to business.
I want to ask you all a simple question, which is, when did you first fall in love with the game of basketball?
For me, I'm from Southeast DC. I'm really originally from South Carolina, but from DC, and it was the Georgetown Hoyas. So my entire family, my dad was in the military. We didn't have much, but we were able to see, Alonzo Mourning and John Thompson and be able to go to games. And so I just remember that as a kid, as a bonding experience. And I could shoot the three-point shot.
Okay.
So at my little YMC, my Boys and Girls Club, I felt like I had a little bit of a shot.
Yeah.
But that, that was when I first fell in love, is being able to bond with my family over watching the games.
Half my family were Knicks fans, and the other half were Bulls fans, or Michael Jordan fans, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
So the way basketball used to just always bring us together, right? Like at a young age, I noticed that.
Yeah.
And then, I had an older cousin that I was really close to, and he started playing. And, I saw just where it took him, right? And I just kind of following his footsteps. And so that was like 5 or 6 years old. From then, just started falling in love with the game.
For me, it was different. Sports was my world. Baseball, I started at 5 years old, which was my first love.
Yeah.
I actually loved to watch a couple of basketball players before I even loved playing the game, right? Watching MJ growing up, watching Magic Johnson. And when we got Penny in Orlando, that's when I really fell in love with the game, right? I didn't really start playing basketball until I was probably 10, 11 years old. I hated basketball. I was bullied into playing basketball because, like I said, baseball was my first sport and my first love.
Yeah.
And football. I used to go to the playground with my cousins, friends who were older than me, and I used to just watch, right?
Yeah.
Tag along. And it got to a point where they hated me going because they always wanted me to play. So it was one day I went, they needed an extra guy, I didn't want to play. And my cousins, bullied me, called me all kind of names, smacked me upside my head. I started playing basketball. I actually did well and I liked it. And from that point, I just used to go every single time these guys go. And I started loving the game and playing with older guys. And I realized that I had a natural ability. But when Penny came to Orlando, and to see him play, it was like poetry in motion. I just fell in love. Like, I want to be like him.
Yeah, yeah. Now that's dope to hear from all of you, because everybody has that story, that moment where they fell in love with the game and what it did for them, like changing the way you think, the way you approach your community, so on and so forth, the way you dress, the way you talk. That's what the game does. But then I want to ask you too, when did you fall in love with business or entrepreneurship or the thinking beyond the court? When was that moment for you?
My sophomore year in college, I was transitioning out of basketball, and you start realizing like I'm not gonna play in the league, or I don't want to go overseas. I got into like lifestyle management, so I started working with athletes and taking care of if they came into Miami and the nightlife. And once I started doing that, and I was doing it myself, and I'm generating my own income. I'm like, and it was different for me. Like my mother has a master's from Columbia. She's worked her way up the corporate ladder. And that's all I knew, right?
Yeah.
So like to actually experience this like entrepreneurship, I'm like, oh, this is different, right? So that's when I first started falling in love with entrepreneurship.
It was probably my 11th year in the league. I played 15 years, but it was my 11th year. And the reason why it was my 11th year is because I had microfracture surgery. And I knew my life was about to change. I wasn't going to be the same guy that was being celebrated scoring 20, 30 points every night. So I had to start thinking outside of my playing days, because I knew it was coming to an end. And if back then, if you had microfracture surgery, you could see the end of that tunnel. So I started preparing myself, trying to figure out what passions I have outside of the game. I was struggling with that a little bit because I was really living other people's dream or investing in other people's dream. And it took a while for me to find what that passion was, and it's basketball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just stick with what I know is basketball.
Exactly.
And I'm sure we'll get into more of what that is, because that's why we're sitting down having this discussion. So
Facts. Alexys.
Yeah, and I'll say for me, it was interesting because, I went to college, and when I was going off to school, it was like if you wanted to be in entertainment business, it was public relations. And so I got this job at NBC Universal. I'm doing PR, I'm doing clips. And I'm like, this is for the birds. Like, this is not fun.
Yeah.
I started wearing Juicy Couture sweatsuits to work. That's when it's time to make a move.
Oh, you was ahead of the game.
I was wearing my Juicy Couture, and one day my boss was like, so how are you liking doing PR? So, man, it's not really my thing. Like, I've got all these other passions, and let me go out and try to do this on my own. And so I met this young lady in LA at the time, and her mom was in the music industry. And I'm like, her name was Quinn, my name is Alexys. I'm like, let's start a business. You got the questions, I got the answers, right?
Okay.
So it was this thing at the age of 22 where I always could see the gaps, right? I always could see like, okay, the industry has this, but there's a gap. And I early on, I've been able to always kind of see that it's the business that I do now.
Yeah.
And so I saw the gap, and I said, oh, so you got the music industry and you're trying to connect to the community and connect to these different people, but no one does that. So I'll give you the answers to all your problems, right?
Yeah.
What we were doing, California started charging us taxes. We weren't even making that much money. I'm like, okay, maybe I don't really know how to do this entrepreneurship thing, but I knew that I was cut out for it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. A lot of times people come into the entrepreneurial journey thinking I could do anything, but you have to be cut out for it. You have to be cut from a different cloth to run your own show.
Exactly.
And so we didn't know what we were doing then. I ended up going back into the golden handcuffs, obviously. And then now, as an older person, I've got my stuff set up in a different way. But I knew at 22 that like I was cut out to run my own stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh, I could.
Yeah, you in here.
A problem, right?
Yeah. And I want you to elaborate a little bit too on that, because I had to do my research, and, with the extensive resume, you got your experience. Like, I was reading even when it comes to being involved with the community and voting and everything, but using it within the ecosystem, as I talked about, of basketball. Can you talk a little bit about that? How, like, a lot of people wouldn't think that that's the way to use it, but how did that come about? And talk a little bit about your resume too.
To my point about filling in the gaps, right? I know that our culture, we have the most power in the world.
Yeah.
Black people have the most power, right? Our power is so strong, but we don't galvanize it enough. We don't collectively use our power enough to this day. And again, at that young age, I will look around and be like, okay, so we got all this power, all this influence. We have the least amount of actual power and influence. We're not pulling our money together. We're not pulling our power together. And so I had the opportunity. I was, again, I kept trying to be an entrepreneur a couple more times. So I don't want to go down the whole resume, but I tried that thing.
Yeah.
It was a hot ass mess. And then, I started to work a job again. And then, at the end of the day, I got to this place where I had a recording studio. And my passion has always been the community, right? Helping people of influence to use their influence for good.
Yeah.
So I had a recording studio. I had Nas in there. I had Nicki, J. Cole recorded his first album in there. And I'm like, let's make a community program. So if y'all are in here all day anyway, let's bring in the kids that are in trouble for truancy. Let's bring the young gang members in and teach them your craft. Teach them how to write. Teach them how to play drums. And it became like my passion of this, this ability to find the way of taking our power and our cultural leaders and putting them in these different positions. And so at the end of the day, the voting thing came about because I got a phone call and someone said, I heard the streets are talking and I heard that, you've got the ability to galvanize our community and President Obama would like you to come and run this for his reelection.
Now, hold on now.
That's a good phone call.
That's
a good
word.
It's a story. It's a true story.
Yeah, we can't just, President Obama, come on now. That's
the president.
But that's what happened. That's what happened.
That's dope.
So,
that's different,
So I got the call. And, like anybody, I was like, do you want me to leave right now? I don't even have much. I'll go right now to Chicago.
Yeah.
But that's what I did. I started Athletes for Obama. I started DJs for Obama with D-Nice. But I was able to go and look around and what I saw. You have something to say?
No, I'm just saying. So that's the thing, man, when I tell these kids, bro, is that do your work and consistently stay on doing your work because you just never know who's watching, man.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And when that opportunity comes, you want to make sure that you're ready to take on that challenge. And, obviously she know the president was going to be like the president, bro.
The president.
Who the hell would have thought?
Who would have
reached
thought?
out there
to
come work for? Come on, man.
And it's the thing
Come
too,
on,
thinking about the people he has around him who are passionate about the same things, and like you said, they're watching.
People are watching us, man.
Yeah.
If it's not the top person, they got people around them. Hey, keep your eyes out for that talent or people that are showing consistency that need to be involved or at the forefront of what the mission is. So it's beautiful to hear that your consistency, whether you fell forward or you start somewhere that people didn't think would be beneficial to your path, you got a call from Obama.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. She stayed with it. You know what I mean? She stayed with whatever she was reaching for. She didn't fall off. She didn't get discouraged. She stayed with it, and great things happen, man.
Yeah.
It's true, and it's the relationships too.
Yeah.
Because he was roommates with Hill Harper. Hill Harper.
Yeah.
So, and that's how I got plugged. That's how people were talking about me. They were like, do you know the girl? Like if she's got this studio and her first client was Jay-Z. Like, I don't know how she did it. They're like, y'all need to call her, right? Because if she's able to get these different clients, and it was really all about the impact and the influence.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And I think for our viewers, hearing that gives them that hope to know, like, if you started something, stay consistent with it. Just like Tracy said, like you just got to keep going. You're going to hear a lot of noise. You may fail sometimes, but if your love is in it, then you got to keep going.
Right.
And, everybody doesn't get to ball out.
No.
Whether it's in the NBA or it's overseas. But you might get to play in the YMCA, you know what I'm saying, in the men's league or the women's league, whatever the case may be. But if your love for the game is still there, there's opportunities, there's room for you, right? To create some type of path. And when you see those gaps, to fill in and create a service or whatever that case may be, right? Everybody's been raving about, I think there was a lot of talks, and like everybody was like, wow, we got to do this, but you guys stepped up to the plate, was like, let's make it happen with the OBL.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the mentality behind it, as far as business-wise. What impact did you want to have, and what made you think like, okay, we're going to be the ones to do it? Because, look, let's be honest, there's a lot of talk about we should do this, we should do that. But what made you guys decide, there's a business mindset behind this?
When Tracy first, he came up with the idea and he called me about it. And from the very beginning, we knew that this was something special, right? Like he wanted to make sure that as we grew this business, that it wasn't just a tournament, it wasn't just a flash in the pan. Like, we want to create something that's sustainable. And when he gave me that direction, I was like, okay, well, like, let's like really back into like what we're doing. Let's take our time and do this the right way. Like, we were going to try to do the tournament a couple months after we first spoke. And immediately realized that there was a business opportunity there. I know one of the things that we wanted to do was being able to give these athletes an opportunity to grow their brands, right? And continue living their life, in hoops, right?
Yeah.
Like that was really important. But then also there are going to be a lot of guys that come from this that get into other businesses, right? That are going to be able to explore other passions that come to them from their opportunities with the OBL.
She said it best, filling in that gap.
That's right.
Right? Because one-on-one basketball is the pure essence of basketball. When you was a kid, your siblings or your friends, that's all you did growing up was play one-on-one basketball, whether it was outside, whether it was inside. I know for me, we used to take a clothes hanger and ball it up and put it, in the sill of the doorway. Close the door and ball up some socks and play, one-on-one in the house. Like, so it to me, it was the pure essence. And then, the landscape of basketball is changing. These kids are not watching, long live shows. They can't sit down and watch 2.5 hours, 3 hours of live events, sporting events. I have two sons, 16 and 13. Can't get them to sit down and watch a basketball game with me for nothing. I was going back and forth to watch Steph Curry, Golden State Warriors, LeBron James, and the Cleveland Cavaliers for 5 straight years in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
They didn't want to go at all. It's when I tell you YouTube is their life, and they watch these street ballers and these guys playing one-on-one pickup basketball. So that's the idea started forming then. And I just seen the energy around, these basketball courts and what these fans started gravitating towards. I was like, hold up. Yeah. Something is missing, bro. And I know because, I come from the hood, and I know there's guys in my neighborhood that has serious game. They didn't have they wasn't wired right. You know what I'm saying?
All you think is Barry Farms, was where I grew up. That actually when I first was watching the game.
But they got crazy game, and they highly skilled, and they could challenge any NBA player because they're just that good. It's just their mental is just not right. But that's everywhere, and I know this. So why not create an opportunity for these guys that have been left out, had some doors shut, told they're not good enough? There's guys in the NBA should be, thanking God every day that they're lucky, to be in that position. Because some of these guys are there based off of relationships, and I'm just going to be 100 with you, right? So I started forming a team together. I want the best of the best to help me take this globally, right? Yeah. Went out and got a guy named Jeffrey Pollack, who is the Michael Jordan of, creating businesses and taking them to the next level. Got Lisle on the creative side. Lisle went and then got Hard and Hustle and just started putting all these pieces together. Like I had to put on my GM hat, right? Yeah. And we started forming Voltron, bro. And here we are today. Like it over exceeded my expectations. And I take it like, I was very talented at basketball, highly athletic.
Oh, we know.
But I needed trainers. I needed a trainer to help me get bigger and stronger. I needed a trainer to help me with my skill work, start, forming me as, a great basketball player, not just talent. I want to be a great basketball player. So I had to get all these pieces. I had to get a nutritionist. So that's what I did with the business of OBL. I had to start putting all these pieces together to form this. And, it's, like I said, over exceeded expectations where we are today, and we're not going anywhere.
And I want to ask you a question because for somebody that may be following you guys on Instagram or seeing you guys on TV or whatever that know about your moves, they're like, oh, I want to do that. And they think the path is easy. Nobody, you know what I'm saying? But let's talk about the hardships, right? Yeah. Let's talk about, like you mentioned, like the doors being shut, or I like to call it even the art of opportunity, right? Because you got to fall sometimes for you to realize, okay, this is the path that I want to take. When did you experience the door being shut?
I mean, I've had so many doors. First of all, I'm a Black woman in sports that came from the music industry that was in politics. Imagine all the doors, right? Yeah. Doors, face all jacked up from all the doors, right? So at the end of the day, I mean, there's so many, but there's one that I'll share because it was post-Obama. And it led to the NBA, right? Because I spent 6 years, obviously, at the league.
Mm-hmm.
And it was coming off of what everything that we did, the president won. And immediately I had the entrepreneur bug, it's in me, right? So I was like, okay, coming off of this campaign where we won and people didn't think we were gonna win, this is the time to go out on my own. So instead of going into the administration, I said, I'm gonna go do some business, right? Like I got all these relationships, it's next level.
Yeah.
So I decided to stay in Chicago and help to build a business with some people, a family that was there at the time. It ended up not working out. My partner, the son, ended up, I didn't know this, but had some issues, some substance abuse issues. And the funding, they were like, it's not a good time for him, which I respect, right? People's health comes first. But I'm like, I turned down the White House. So I'm out here looking crazy. I have no job. I'm trying to start this business. And I ended up like trying to scramble and try to create these new opportunities, and it wasn't working. And I had to move back home with my family. And I'm 20, however old at that time. I never had a roommate. Like I'm somebody who's like, I'm cool. I don't really have roommates. I have a roommate in college. And I'm now living in my sister's basement coming off of the win of Obama.
That's tough.
I had never in my life experience even known what like depression was or situational depression. Like I literally was in this, and I'm like, how am I down here?
Yeah.
And like how, and my family's like, girl, you're a winner. Like it's you're gonna bounce back real quick. And I'm like, no, but just the ego blow, right?
Yeah.
The ego blow,
What that feels like.
I couldn't believe it. And like I was an athlete too. I played softball as a catcher my entire career as an athlete.
I strike your ass out, but keep going.
No, you can't. No. You don't want these problems. You don't want these problems. And I was cleanup hitter, batter number 4. You don't want, and I got an Olympic medal, all kind of stuff on sports. You don't want to know about. But
come on now.
My bad.
Yeah. We could play some racquetball too, but no, at the end of the day, not to belabor the story, but I was sitting in this basement. I'm like, let me bring it back to sport, right?
Yeah.
So during my entrepreneurial journeys, I worked for Magic Johnson. He let me come in and do little projects for him, and it always tied back to basketball. So I knew I wasn't good enough to play pro in anything that I did, but always came back to basketball. And so I've made a couple phone calls. I had started, the situation where I had started Athletes for Obama. So I called some people at the NBA, and they would say, oh, like, I'm surprised you're not in the White House. I said, oh, I could have been. But
right,
I could have been, but I'm just trying to see what's going on with the league, And so people would say, oh, if you're in New York, come for coffee. And I would act like I'm in New York, get on that train real quick, do what you got to do to hustle and make your dreams come true. So I was doing a lot of that, and then ended up getting this opportunity to be in player development, where all of the different confluence of the things I love, right? I love helping people.
Yeah.
That's my calling. That's my mission in life.
Yeah.
Black people, calling, mission in life, full stop. Black men who normally aren't supported in the ways that I know that they need to be nurtured. And so at the end of the day, and then community, right? So I go to the league. And so all that was meant to be. It was part of my path. And so every single time I had that adversity, I just had it this morning, right? I'm an entrepreneur. It happens all the time. I'm building a team, right? Like you're building the A team. And at the end of the day, it's always like every piece is going to happen for my divine order.
Yeah.
I'm so confident of that.
Yeah.
Part of entrepreneurship is being able to handle those doors closing in your face and understanding like when to pivot and how to pivot. And for me, I went to school for architecture, right? So like I never did anything in the space. So to be in a creative space and marketing and branding, it's like I had to learn everything myself. I was teaching everything myself. So what helped me a lot, or what made me very comfortable in my entrepreneur journey is my network, right? Like I just always knew that like I had to network, right? Even guys like Tracy, being able to be so close to him for almost 15, 20 years now, right? Like that's, knowing that I don't want to say fall back, but knowing that I can tap in to that when I needed to, it helped with, or gave me the confidence to take some of the risks that I have. But throughout the journey, there's always times when, doors are getting shut, or even like, one of my largest clients coming out of it was Chevron. And that was a struggle for me because I was, this young Black guy that was running the marketing for Chevron. And, that's big oil, right? So like, I was the only one that looked like me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And they would never understand why we need to do A, B, and C. And it's like, well, you brought me in to help bridge that gap for the culture, but you're not allowing me to do what I need to do, right? So, just always being able, but just, staying true to myself and knowing that I'm doing the right thing and this is how things are supposed to be. And then eventually, you kind of break through. And then when the opportunities come, like Tracy said, like you just have to be ready, right? When you got that call from Obama, you were ready for it. And it's the same thing when Tracy called me that night. I actually it was September 11th. You called. It was 11:30. He texted me.
So that means it was what?
It was 1:30 for him.
So I'm thinking,
man, I'm thinking in it. But immediately from the time we had that first conversation, I was ready. Like as soon as we hung up, I sent you a text like, yo, here's some names for what we could call it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you just wait for those opportunities and being able to realize that they're here and then take advantage of them.
Yeah.
You know?
If we're talking about doors closing, not many have closed.
Talk your talk.
Excuse us.
But I would say this, when I had my microfracture, it was probably in my career, like the most depressed I ever been in my life, because I worked extremely hard to be the best player I can be on the basketball court and go out and be the best version for my team, whatever team that was. And I always had, situations where a player gets hurt, I got to do more. So if you look at Orlando, when I was there, Grant Hill, like I thought we was going to compete for championships. I was Grant Hill teammate for 4 years, and we played 48 games together, right? So, and at that time, you were really, as a team, just pigeonholed. It's not like you could go out and go get another superstar. It is what it is. Grant Hill is out. This is our team. You probably can make some small trades here and there because the money wasn't like it is today. Playoff runs was first round, done. Get to Houston, teaming up with Yao Ming, same situation. First round, done. Yao hurt, I'm hurt. And when we finally get a team to where I think we can compete for a championship, because it was 2009, I think we added Ron Artest or Meta World Peace. I'm like, we got a championship team.
Yeah.
My knee blows out. Now, all these years I've been fighting, trying to win a championship, right? And this is the year that I feel I have the best team I ever had in my career.
Yeah.
And I'm damaged goods. So you can imagine, and I'm doing everything possible to get on this basketball court and play. So 2008 season, Yao is out. We go to the playoffs, Utah, take them to 6 game. My last 40-point game was game 6, right? So after that season, I have surgery, just a little minor surgery because my knee was killing me. Every game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I had to get a shot in my knee. And then after that game, I had to get it drained, needle about like this, draining that fluid out. Every single game. So have the surgery, go through my rehab, come back for the 08-09 season. That's when we added Ron Artest. And I'm trying to get back on the court. So I start off the season, I'm limping, I'm on one leg. I'm just excited, like, damn, this is championship season. Get to about January, and it was a play where I embarrassed myself because I couldn't jump off of my left leg, and I shut it down. Moved to Chicago, had microfracture surgery, and from that point, I was depressed for about a year, an entire year, because I'm in Chicago, and I don't know if you know any, I had a machine. I had to be in a machine for 8 hours out the day with this machine just rotating my leg, right, to get the blood flowing. And I had to do that for like 4 months, right?
Wow. My
team is still playing, and there's nothing I could do. So after that season, I'm depressed. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm like, why is this happening? I was questioning God, bro, because I'm a firm believer. I'm a believer in God. I was like questioning God, like, why is this happening to me? I just started telling myself something great has to come out of this. It has to come out of this. There's no way I've worked too hard, right? Worked too hard to be in this position. So I started reshaping my mind that something great is going to come out of this. 2017, I'm doing ESPN, and I get nominated for the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's it. Because there is no way in hell while I was playing, I didn't even think about the Hall of Fame. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Out of sight.
But that was my reward. And that's what got me back on my feet and got me going. But man, before that, I hated basketball, bro. Like it was dark times. I didn't want to go anywhere. I just sat in the house. I didn't care, man. It was a very dark times for me at that time, and nobody knows about that.
Yeah. And I think, many players go through that with the identity, or even just business people, entrepreneurs, when your love and identity is in what you're trying to build and it gets pulled from you.
Yeah,
that's tough.
That's tough blow.
That's tough to handle.
Tough.
What can you tell a young, 18, 21-year-old who's like, dang, man, I'm going through it right now. And I love business. I love basketball, but don't know how to get involved. I don't know who to reach out to. What do you tell them?
I think for me, it's a loaded question, right? So it's a two-part question. So what do I tell people trying to get into it?
For sure.
Is you have to do your work.
Mm-hmm.
We had a conversation this morning with my team. And so I was talking to them. I said, look, at the end of the day, and this goes to all young people too, it's not supposed to come easy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's not supposed to.
Nah.
Right? And so every time you think, every time in your mind, you're like, this should be easier. I want this. It's not supposed to, right? Now, everything's not supposed to be a struggle. I think even in the space of work that I do community work. And it's like teachers. You get paid the least and people don't want to invest in community. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to be like Bill Gates and do community work, right? I'm trying to have that bag and help the community, right? It doesn't have to be that way. And so for young people, it's going to be a struggle, right? Because finding your passion and purpose is hard. You're evolving as an adult, right? What you loved as a child. And you talked about it really beautifully, like it's basketball, right? It takes a long time to go back to your purpose and your passion to find that. So you have to keep going, but it's not going to just come to you.
Right.
Like when I moved to LA, because I wanted to pursue my career in entertainment when I graduated from college, I slept on my cousin's floor for 2 years.
Wow.
Right? Because it was free. And the program I was in didn't pay well, right? But I wanted it that badly. And so you have to want it that badly, but you have to do the work. It's not supposed to be handed to you. If it is, it's not authentic, it's not genuine.
For me, I think it's where's your destination? Where do you want to go? Right?
It has to be clear.
It has to be clear. Yeah. So if you have your destination of where you want to go, right? Along that journey, it's going to be some bullshit, right? It's not going to be clear road where you could just go straight through and you don't have nothing, coming at your way to deviate you from that. You have to be mentally tough. And the number one important thing, fall in love with the grind.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Fall in love with the grind, everything else is easy. Because the grind is the hardest shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You fall in love with that, everything else is easy. Because whatever comes your way, you're knocking it out the way. It's not going to matter because you're still going pushing forward.
Yeah.
So fall in love with the grind, man.
Yeah.
Fall in love with the grind because that's the hardest shit to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to do the work. You have to do the work. I think that's one thing that we're all saying is like that part is for sure. And take your time, right? Like, now especially now with like social media, you think that you're supposed to be somewhere where you're not, right? You see all these people living their lives a certain way and like remove yourself from that and realize that like you have your path, take your time, fall in love with the grind for sure and stick to it. Like, I mean, even right now, like I've been in this for 15 years now, right? Like my first business, I started my first business when I was 19 or 20 years old. I'm now circling back into, you think each opportunity is the best one, but now like this is it, right? And it took me 15 years to get to this point. So like, you're not watching something that just happened overnight.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really think, man, it's like we have an idea and that ideal hits like that. Like even these billionaires or the most successful people, like failed over and over, but they kept pushing. Like that shit just doesn't happen like that. Man. You got to keep pushing, what I'm saying, and keep going.
Yeah.
You can't let nothing deviate you off that course.
Yeah. And I also want to add too, it's okay to pivot.
Absolutely.
We get so stuck into the thing.
Absolutely.
I'm 40
100%.
years old. My new business, The Kinship, I started last January. Do you know how many times I've been like, okay, I know what the end goal is, but I'm like, okay. And people really aren't trying to pay for this service, so let me pivot to this.
You
gotta change something.
You gotta tweak it. I mean, it's
for sure.
ever evolving, right? There's like, I feel like there's always new audiences and people to serve all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, for instance, OBL.
Right.
Like, I mean, I think it's a dream that people had all the time. That would be like, oh man, how crazy would it be if LeBron played one-on-one with Kobe? Like, you know what I mean? But now it's like, nah, man, my homie from the hood about to play one-on-one with some other homie from the hood, and let's see who really skilled.
Yeah. That's providing hope for those guys back home.
Yeah.
Right? Because some of these guys do come straight out of the hood.
Oh, yeah.
And they provide hope for every guy that's around the hood that's seeing this. Like, damn, man, I'm seeing this guy all over freaking Instagram. I just seen him hooping in the hood. Like, seriously, like, it's just inspiring, you know, these other cats out here.
But just the exposure and building a brand.
Oh, man.
Because look, you could come hoop, you might get beat, but that exposure may get you to get involved in the business of basketball.
We got guys that are getting endorsements already, right? We have a couple guys that have done they've gotten paid to do appearances.
Yeah.
One guy got a Nike commercial. So like it's literally happening right now.
Yeah.
You know?
And to me, that's the greatest gift out of all of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you can get a group of guys, never met these guys, but introduce them to something, give them a platform, and then their life just start taking off. And when I have these conversations with like, yo, man, you changed my life, bro. Like, that's success to me. Like, that's legendary shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I haven't had anyone tell me that just yet. You heard me put that yet on there. I still got work to do.
Yeah, for sure.
It's coming.
It's a beautiful thing. Like, I mean, even me telling people that, I'm like, bruh, like, you changed my life, dog.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's what we here for. Like, in this position, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't get here by myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody, when I tell you this story, when I was in the 11th grade back in Central Florida, and I come from a small town, 10,000 people. One day, I'm at my school. This guy comes down, say he's affiliated with Adidas.
Mm-hmm.
Never met this guy in my life. And he was like, I was playing spring football my first year. I was about to be out like Randall Cunningham out there.
You was ready.
So he was like, I was sent here. I've been watching you, and I was sent here to give you an invite to the Adidas camp. Never been to any camps, didn't know anything about this camp. I was like, you know, what is it? He was like, it's, you know, a nationally ranked camp for the high school players. I was like, word. So I was the last dude invited to this camp. They gave me this jersey number 175. They had to fight to get me in this camp, right? And I'm talking about, you got Lamar Odom, who was like the number one dude out of New York City, 6'10" point guards, just crazy skilled basketball player. And I go to this camp, and the first game is against Lamar. And I hold my own.
There we go.
From that point on, like, it was like, who is this guy out of Florida, Tracy McGrady, right? So eyes were on me, go through this camp, wreck the camp. I go from, in the summertime, from unknown to the number one player in the country.
Let's go.
And if I wasn't ready for that opportunity, who knows where I would be. But what I'm saying is, that dude that I didn't know, never met in my life, came down and gave me that opportunity. And from that point, that's when my life just changed. And that's what I want to give to these players. I have an opportunity to change these guys' life. I have the platform, I have the resources. NBA has done a phenomenal job of, you know, paying me millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? So I got, But more importantly, man, it's really about giving these guys hope, letting them know somebody really cares about them, and I want them to live out their dream. And that's why I started OBL, because I really, really love the game of basketball, and I love to give these guys this platform to make a name for themselves and leave a legacy for their family.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna come out of this with $250,000 this weekend.
Come on.
Like,
What
that's
time is the game?
Come on.
Hold on, I need to be at the game. I might extend my trip.
$250,000,
crazy.
bro.
Like, that's life changing, right? Like, for someone to be able to, like, have that effect on somebody.
But to me, I'm putting my faith in these guys, right?
That's right.
I didn't go out and get investors to start this league. This is all Tmac.
Yeah.
$250,000 coming out of my pocket because I believe in these dudes and what their ability is.
That's right.
For him to trust me and for me to be that first phone call to help him put his vision together, right? Like, he's given me that opportunity now to showcase my talents on a national or global platform.
Yeah.
Right. And then that kind of lives throughout our brand, right? Like, that's our company culture.
Yeah.
Everyone around us is people that are like extremely talented that we're giving that opportunity to. Sometimes the investment is more than money. It's actually investing in people, right? And their capabilities. And then, you know, to your point, is hearing that from someone else. Like, I've always known I'm good at what I do.
Yeah.
But then when Tracy calls me and trusts me with his vision, right? And this is, like you said, this is the first thing that he's ever done on it, like by himself. Like, this is his first his own business.
Yeah.
So for him to call me and trust me to build that out for him, you know, that just gives me that like you said, confirmation that, like, okay, like,
Still got reservations.
He got your T-shirt on though. He got your face on his chest.
Come on, man.
So the fact that he's got your shirt on.
man.
Where's the love?
Hey, listen, if this isn't working,
I got to pick on my little fella.
Right.
man.
No, for sure.
It's
For sure.
yeah.
What do you guys look for in someone who wants to be involved in the business of basketball, that has ideas? What is that thing that you're like, let me give this person an opportunity?
Right.
Because it's almost like catching Jay-Z down the street. Everybody want to freestyle.
Right.
But it's like, you know,
I
yeah.
think it's a willingness to listen, right? Like, if someone comes up and they want the opportunity, are you willing to listen to the advice of everyone around you, and then also being able to, like,
It's also
put
the
in the
approach
work.
too.
Yeah.
Well, the approach
Right.
is
yeah.
important, but you got to be able to put in the work as well, right? Like, if I have like, when I'm building out the team, I know what I'm willing to do, right? Like, I know that I'm on the West Coast. If I have to be up at 3:30, 4:30 to take an East Coast call, I'm willing to do that. Are you willing to do the same thing, right? That's what's important to me when I'm looking in, you know, for people to work with.
No, it goes back, you know, to my playing days as well. I used to train 6 o'clock in the morning. And I used to have guys tell me that they want to train with me. Cool. Open invitation. I'll be at the track at 6 o'clock. I'll see you out there. And if you don't show up, I know you ain't ready.
Yeah.
Right?
true.
Yeah.
I know you're not ready. You're not ready to really take your game to a next level. You're not mentally prepared for that grind.
It's that discipline.
That's that, yes.
You
It's a
know,
necessity.
Yes.
It's a necessity. Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about that though.
Yeah.
Like, because you all had to have some type of discipline
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
to be
Mhm.
where you're at right
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, with you, like, somebody, Obama, they would probably go crazy. You know what I mean? They would use that to do God knows what, you know what I'm saying? But you was a good steward with the opportunity. Where does that discipline come from? Like, who influenced that or ingrained that in you? Like, was it upbringing? Like, what was it?
I think I got lucky because I started my first business in Miami, so I couldn't have any more distractions, right? So to be able to stay disciplined and you know, have my meetings when I need to have them, but what really helped me was, like, I guess the best way I could put it is, like, finding my discipline, right? Like, what worked for one didn't work. Like, so for me, my creative juices get flowing like at 1, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So that, you know, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
But I try to do it because that's what everyone else is doing, right? That's what everyone else's discipline was. And I find myself burning out really fast, right? So I found a discipline that worked for me, that worked within my system and allowed me to perform at a very high level.
I mean, let's be frank. When we're talking about discipline, we're talking about being out in the streets, in the club, partying 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and doing all the crazy shit, right? So when I was a kid, and my grandmother used to fish, and she used to go from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. Wow, fishing, right?
Wow.
Out there by herself. I don't even think my grandma could damn swim, and she ain't had no life jacket.
Black people can't swim.
Right.
Can we swim?
I could swim.
Oh, you
like a fish.
Okay.
For sure.
You're the only one.
So for me, you know, when all of my friends, because I grew up in a neighborhood where it's a bunch of kids my age, all my buddies, right? When they're out doing what kids do, I was with my grandmother out on the boat, fishing with my grandmother. And going out there every Saturday morning taught me that being with my grandmother is more important and just spending that quality time than being out there in the streets and doing whatever the kids were doing at that time. And it gave me, it taught me patience, right? And it taught me that discipline that nothing is greater than spending time with my grandmother, man. You know what I'm saying? So as I got older, that's all I fell back to.
Yeah.
Is that what's important?
Yeah.
What's important is I got to wake up 6 o'clock in the morning, go to the track and get this workout in.
Yeah.
I can't be out in the club 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because I know my ass is not going to get up if I do that. So I need to get my rest. I need to get up, go to the track, get my work done, come back, relax, get something to eat, do it again a few hours later. Like I was working out 3 times a day in the off season. You know what I mean? That's the type of grind I was on.
Yeah. The basis of this conversation is to be able to inspire the people who are looking for the opportunities to get involved.
Yeah.
When I was presented with this opportunity, I was like, yo, this is gonna change lives. Like, think about how many people we know that was like, yo, I'm going to the league.
Yeah. I had a whole neighborhood full of guys like
that. Like league me or nothing.
Right.
And then it's like, but bro, you really good with money though.
Yeah.
Or bro, you're a great designer. Or bro, you know how to get all the grown-ups in the neighborhood to invest in the little league football team or basketball team.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we need people to be able to see those skills or seeing it in themselves, like you were mentioning, like kind of finding your self-worth.
Right.
When did you see that in yourself? Where you was like, I'm him.
That guy.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think for me, it was high school basketball.
Oh, wow.
Right. Basketball at that level taught me. I mean, I was good. I wasn't as good as some people, but I was good. I don't know. I probably would have busted his ass in high school, but in high school, maybe not after that, but high school.
Did you see my face, Shane?
Right.
I didn't.
No, I didn't.
I didn't at all.
Serious.
Yeah.
Serious.
Maybe we need to get y'all to do a one-on-one
OBL
situation. Yeah, come on now.
I'm ready for it.
Serious.
But
he already tore his Achilles or ACL or something.
My Achilles. Don't worry about all that. You be cool how you be cool, man. You don't have to worry about the wrong stuff, man.
He said, let's keep it. He said, let's keep it on 2K.
Yeah. But yeah, high school basketball. It taught me. Basketball itself taught me leadership and that discipline, right? And that if you actually put the work into something, that you can achieve greatness on whatever it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's what then made me realize, like, okay, like. That gave me that self-confidence. Like, as long as I put in the work, I'm cool. Win or lose, if I put the work in, I can live with it. I can live with the results.
Yeah. How about you? Because when did you know, like, and maybe before the Obama thing, right? Like, when, like, yo, I got it.
Yeah. For me, it was like my dad. My dad used to tell me, and my siblings, I've got 2 sisters and a brother, they might not want to, they remember this stuff, so actually this is all true. So when I was young, my father used to tell me I was special. And we talk about that a lot, whether or not, it doesn't matter whatever parent it is, but for my father to always be like, you're special. Not that I was better. It was never about, there was nothing that made me better, but he would say I was special. Yeah. And he would say, protect your energy. And he would always say, when you walk into a room, ever since I was young, he's like, people flock to you. Like literally dogs, babies, people, And he would say, like, you're gonna have that's something that's special. And so, and that always stuck with me, right? Because again, it's not better than anything, but it was, okay, there's something special that people are drawn to me. And my father used to always be concerned because he would say, I would see you out and you got all these people and you've got all this stuff. You're like holding court. You're the community organizer. You're out here. You're the advocate. You're doing all this stuff. And you're expanding so much energy. Be careful. Create some boundaries and protect yourself. And so that's something I've, again, that's always been in my mind for so long and in my life. But with that, I always knew that there was something that was special about my ability to connect. And so when you think about your gift, and for anybody watching, when you think about your gift, it doesn't always have to be the math and science or being able to dribble the basketball, right? I had to find out and really do the work to figure out that my gift was that I have the ability to connect and draw people in. Like I'm a magnet, right? So that is my gift. That is my strong suit. Like that's the thing that makes me different and special. So I have to protect that. But what I was able to do with the business is turn that into a business. My job, my business, my whole company is I connect people of influence to impact.
Yeah.
It might be the thing that's the most intangible thing that you can't put your finger on, but really dig deep and try to describe what that is and try to learn what that is and then make money off of it.
There we go. That's a bar.
Yeah.
Tracy, I want to say this too. I saw a clip where a guy was like, he ain't Tmac no more. You still Tmac to me. I want to put that out there. But when you stepped out of the game, what was that moment where you like, yo, like, I'm him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like beyond the court, like I'm versatile. Like I can make things shake.
Man, when you travel the world, bro, you go into these different countries and people are coming up to you and praising you for, you know, what you did on the basketball court, like really expressing their love for your game and telling you how I've inspired them. Even today, I have a hard time adapting to people coming in and telling me that. Like, again, I'm from a humble place, 10,000 people. So even with this celebrityism or whatever you call it, I struggle with it. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even know how to handle it. I don't know how. He'll tell you.
He's not a good celebrity.
I'm not an asshole. Not an asshole by any means. It's just
not at all.
I'm comfortable with it, bro. You know what I'm saying? I've never adapted to being a celebrity.
You're the same guy that's still fishing with your grandmother. That's what
I'm
it is.
the same dude.
He's the same
I'm the
person.
same guy. Like, I love people. I love people. In my house in Houston, like, I have a basketball court at my house. I invite strangers over my house just to hoop. You know what I'm saying? Like, who does that?
I ain't heard of that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's who I am. I just love being around people. I love people, but I don't know how. I still haven't grasped like how to be this celebrity and people coming up to me and you know, seeing all this great stuff. I don't know how to deal with it. Bro.
I can tell even by the way you just talk, trying to explain it.
I don't, man. It's uncomfortable, bro. To be honest with you, man, I just want to be normal, dog. I swear, I just want to be normal. I'm the type of dude, like during the whole pandemic, I had no problem sitting in my house, bro.
Wow.
Being with my family.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's who I am. I could stay in my house. This is no joke. I could stay in my house for a week straight. Don't go anywhere. Just as long as my kids and my wife there, I'm good. Back to your point, it's like just when I'm traveling around these countries, man, and I'm being recognized in Africa. I'm being recognized in China as a whole different beast. When I go to the Middle East, I'm being recognized. It's like, damn. I guess I am somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like that make you feel like you somebody, bro.
Yeah.
You know, where I come from, under the circumstances, to be able to come up out of that, and now I'm here in the Middle East or Africa, and these people know who I am. Like, that's amazing. That's pretty damn cool, man.
No, for sure. I mean, You are famous.
I know, but I'm telling you, bro, it's like the most uncomfortable thing for me. It is. And that's not a front.
Guys, I just want to say thank you, though, for your time. This has been an honor for me to be able to sit down with you guys as playmakers and heavy hitters, communities on the court, off the court. Alexys, thank you. I'm going to get to you last. Lisle, thank you, bro.
Appreciate you having me, man.
Tmac, thank you so much. Appreciate your time and what you've been able to do for the game, but also what you're doing off the court now. And I hope that legacy continues on beyond that. And that's for everybody too.
No, man, we appreciate this platform.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To get that message out to these, to these inspired people, man, and just keep pushing forward, man.
Yeah. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to Slam for putting this together. Les, connecting the dots. We appreciate it.
Yeah, shout out to Les, man.
Slam.
Yeah.
Hey, Slam. Listen, man. Slam has treated me with nothing but love, man. Ever since I was a jit.
Yeah.
You don't know nothing about that, but ever since I was a jit.
Hey, I heard the word jit before.
Yeah, man. So shout out to Slam, man. Much love to them.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm your host, Dennis Boateng. This is LeagueBiz. Thank you so much. Peace.